Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 105 of the Brunch and Judge.
We are like so close to another year.
Oh, actually, I think we've actually already done it.
Have we? Because I thought it was like, because we started like on my birthday.
Well, right, but like episode count wise.
Oh, episode count. I see what you're saying.
And also we're a little bit ahead, so like we've already recorded the one that was your birthday.
But like, it's coming out on the birthday. Yeah. I see. It's not my birthday yet.
In our normal timeline, in our reality timeline, we're not quite there yet. But the episodes are already there, so.
Gotcha. I see.
So
in real life timeline.
In real life timeline. Anyway, we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are talking UFOs and alien abductions.
Yes.
You know. Cool things like that. All right. So this week I go first. Yes. And I bring to you the Rendlesham Forest incident. Insolent. God help me. like, just caveat, guys. It's been a week. I mean, like, not a bad week. It's been a really good week. But, like, my brain is filled with lots of words that it didn't know before. So...
She's just blending them all together. We don't even know.
Just kind of run together, and I don't know. I don't.
Words that have never existed may come out.
And then last night, was it last night? God, I don't even know. Spencer and I had this conversation about reality and what's real, and I'm like,
she's like, I don't know what's happening right now.
So, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But anyway. So I got my information from Wikipedia, the Telegraph, BBC, How Stuff Works, and History.com.
Yay.
Okay, so Rendlesham Forest is in Suffolk, England. It's about 100 miles east of London. So I'm like, woo. And I will tell you that this story, the Rendlesham Forest incident, is sort of like Britain's Roswell. It has been like labeled that, I guess. Mm-hmm. Although, I don't know. We'll get into it later. We'll talk about how I feel about that.
How you feel about it? She has feelings.
I have feelings. I have a lot of feelings.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's December 1980. And there were a series of unexplained lights that were reported just outside of the Royal Air Force Base Woodbridge, which at the time was being used by the U.S. Air Force. I don't know why. I guess Cold War or whatever.
Hey, listen. This is part of my story, but I learned that the U.S. Air Force had a thing called Project Blue Book.
Yes!
And that was their code for investigations for UFO incidents. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the U.S. probably brought that on themselves.
I mean...
since the U.S. was using it, this is why it happened.
Which is part of the reason why I'm like... Is it really
This is going to be my theory.
Is this really Britain's Roswell because it was us? Like, do we as Americans just, like, attract them? Is it something that's, like, genetically embedded in us? Like, what did we do?
Right.
Why are the aliens so excited about Americans, guys?
When you said, and you're like, but Americans were using it. I'm like, oh, we brought it. It was us.
It's always us.
It's us.
We are the drama.
We are the drama. Okay, continue. Sorry.
It's like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always the U.S. We're the problem.
It is. God. Anyway, so U.S. is there. And there were several personnel on the Air Force Base filled with U.S. soldiers, including Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt. Which, by the way, is a really long title.
Yes, that is. That's ridiculous. Can we shorten that?
Oh, God. Like, his name is Charles Halt, and his, like, title is Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel.
I know, that's ridiculous.
It's insane. Anyway.
Let's shorten that.
So lots of them, including him, saw the lights, and that's what makes this one kind of interesting, is that it's not like one person or like random.
It's multiples.
Well, it's multiples, and it's almost entirely like U.S. Air Force people, which is weird. Because
they were the ones investigating the UFO.
I know. I'm telling you, we have done something in our past. That's why they're coming for us. So it is December 26th, and it is 3 a.m. And I'm just going to say, this to me ties into my belief that Jesus may or may not have been an alien. Please refer back to that episode. I'm going to link it right here.
Gotcha.
Or if you're not into the Jesus thing, maybe Santa is the alien. Just saying. It's Christmas, aliens. Yeah. It makes sense to me.
Facts.
So there was a security patrol near the east gate of the Air Force Base, and they were doing their normal patrol-y things, you know, checking around, making sure there's, I don't know. We're in Britain. I don't know what they're expecting. It's 1980. I mean,
I don't know.
It's Cold War, right? We're still in the Cold War. We're all afraid of Russia / Soviet Union.
Right. Yeah.
80s. Soviet Union.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. So they're out there patrolling, doing their thing, and they see lights descending into Rendlesham Forest, which is like adjacent to where the Air Force Base is. And it even was showing up on like their radar screens, like their equipment was showing something. And so they were like, the hell is this? And at first they thought, well, maybe it's like a downed aircraft. And so they sent a team into the forest to go investigate because I guess, again, Cold War. We got to make sure.
Make sure the Soviets aren't spying on us.
Right. Or, you know, like, maybe it's one of ours. Who knows?
Right. Something happened. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. So, like, they're going to go. They're expecting a plane or something. Yeah. And so one of the men in the group was named John Burroughs. And he said that he specifically saw a beacon in the distance with red, green, orange, and white lights. And then as they got closer to the lights, they saw what he could only describe as a glowing metallic object that he was like, it's a craft of unknown origin. Like, he couldn't really describe it. It was such a different look for him. He's like, I don't really know what it is.
He's like, this doesn't look like a normal plane.
He's like, this doesn't look right.
Right.
Of course, you know, they go investigate because nothing bad could possibly happen.
No.
But as they begin to get closer to it, it starts to move through the trees. And at that point, they see a white light silently explode. I don't completely know what that means. That's how it's described. And then a red oval sun-like object in the clearing. And it lifted up through the trees and then shot back towards the coast.
Okay.
Now, they are in countryside, and there is a farm nearby, and they're able to hear the animals at the farm freaking the shit out, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like they are going crazy. In fact, one of the Air Force men said that some of the animals sounded like a woman screaming. That's how upset they were. Like, they were freaking the shit out. They were screaming and making noises that were really, you know, discomforting to the Air Force guys.
It's like the little screams and Silence of the Lambs.
Right? I'm like, well, and
I just watched that the other day, and that's immediately what I thought of was like this.
Well, and like
story.
There is something, and it's always in like Midsummer Mysteries or Midsummer Murders or whatever. If you've ever watched that show, anytime they're in one of these weird small towns and there's woods, there's always some animal that sounds like a screaming woman. It's like, Wah! It's just like
some kind of weird goat or
bird or
yeah.
Like I know that like foxes theoretically scream that way, but
they sound so weird.
It's so nonchalant in that TV show that I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So lots of things making creepy noises over there. So two of the men in that security detail decide to try and track the object on foot, like so there's like a lot of different perspectives happening here. So before it has shot off to the coast, they're trying to follow it. And they come across what they call a large tripod-mounted craft.
Okay.
It had no windows, so they could not see inside. Again, that metallic sheen that someone else had mentioned earlier. They said that it was studded with brilliant red and blue lights. And that every time they came within about 50 yards of it, it would levitate 6 feet in the air and back away.
That's strange.
And so they followed it for almost an hour through the woods until it did the thing where it goes shloop and then flies off to the coast. And they said that it took off at a phenomenal speed. So beyond anything that they could, that they thought anyone on Earth was able to manage.
So faster than anything they had ever seen as far as like
and they're aircraft. Air Force. So like they've seen shit. Like they know how things fly and how things go. Eventually around 4 a.m. the local police came out to investigate the lights as well. But by the time they got there, of course, it was all over. The aircraft was gone.
Yeah.
And the only lights that could be seen were from a lighthouse that was several miles away, which comes into play later. So they go back to the Air Force Base and the police go home or whatever. And they wait until it's officially daybreak. And so at that point, they send out another team of servicemen to go to where they had encountered the craft. And it's a small clearing in the forest. And there they find 3 small impressions that are in a triangular pattern that they think are from the tripod feet like of the craft.
Yeah.
And they also noticed some burn marks and broken branches on trees, which would indicate that something had been there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they called out the local police to come look at this, I guess, because, you know, technically it's not theirs. They got to call the locals in. I don't know. And the local police were like, whatever, it's just rabbits.
What?
Those impressions were like, it's just a rabbit. It's fine. You're like, rabbits did that. Okay.
So rabbits broke the branches and burned them and did all this other stuff too. Like
they dug 3 little tripod-ish shaped things in the ground. It makes the U.S. Air Force think that it's an alien landing. What?
Was it the rabbit from Monty Python?
It was the rabbit from Monty Python. I love that.
That's immediately what I was like, it's the only rabbit I can think of.
The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
Yes.
I'm here for it. I mean, that makes sense. It is the correct country, so.
5 is right out.
5 is right out. God, I haven't watched that movie in forever. Okay. So, local police useless. Shock. Surprise.
I know.
So, now it's December the 28th. Lieutenant Colonel Holt has visited the site with several servicemen and took radiation readings of the area. And in the area of the triangular impressions where they're like, this is where it landed, the radiation levels were distinctly higher. Not like tiny little bit, but like enough higher. Not like we're all going to die of radiation poisoning, but a distinct difference between not that spot and this spot.
Right.
Which like, to me is like...
something happened here.
Something is
There's
here.
A difference. Something happened here. Yeah.
And while they were there investigating, that area with their radiation detectors or whatever, they saw a flashing red light across the field to the east inside of an eerily pulsating fog that had appeared. So now there's a fog, there's a weird light in it.
I don't like it.
And they felt like the light was heading towards them in the fog.
No, don't like that at all. Mm-mm. Anything with fog and mist, and no, I don't care for that at all.
And one person said that it seemed to be like it wasn't just a red light. It seemed to be spewing forth a rainbow waterfall of colors, which I'm like, that sounds really pretty, but also a little terrifying. It's like, here's a fog, there's a red light, but also there's colors coming out of it.
Wait.
Like, what is even happening right now?
I know, that's weird.
Is everybody high? Like, did we all get like an acid
fall
trip?
Did y'all fall into an episode of Rainbow Bright? Like, what's happening here? I mean...
But to me, that's what's so weird about this, is that lots of people saw it, but different people seem to have pulled different experiences out of it. Like, some are the same, but like the light thing is a little different on how people were perceiving it. So, But at the same time, there were star-like lights that were in the sky, two to the north of them and one to the south. And they said that the brightest one hovered for like 2 to 3 hours and seemed to like beam down a stream of light from time to time. And I'm like, this is, to me, is the vast difference between before Common Era and the year 1980 is you see a star with a light beaming down. And back then they're like, oh, a king messiah has been born. Let's follow the light.
Right.
And then it's 1980 and they're like, the hell is that shit?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going near that. There's a beam of light coming down. Hard pass. Don't want to know what that is.
Like, this is not right.
Yeah, it's like, and like it would beam down for a while and then stop and then beam down for a while. So like it wasn't a consistent beam.
Okay,
gotcha. Creepy.
Yeah, that's
so, because then you're like, well, then what the hell is that? Yeah. And all of this was being recorded by Halt, who had brought like a tape recorder with him to like record the investigation of the area and the readings and whatever. So like he's recording all the stuff that they're seeing and experiencing on his tape recorder, which is weird. I mean, not like odd, but like just weird that this exists. So after that, it kind of just, it went away, it's gone, and the U.S. Air Force did what they did best and didn't tell anybody.
And just ignored it?
Well, like they...
Or hid it?
They just were like, okay, like they wrote up their memos, their reports or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were like, okay, moving on then. So there are a lot of theories about what actually happened here. So, of course, first one is, it's all a hoax that the U.S. servicemen did. It was a big prank. Ha, ha, ha,
right.
ha. And I'm like, I mean, fair. Could be, I suppose.
Maybe.
But feels weird because it's not like they told anybody about it.
Yeah.
And they weren't like
they
calling
put
up
it out there.
Like outside of the local police coming to check out the area, like they didn't let like the British version of the Air Force, the Royal, like they told no one.
Yeah.
They didn't contact their military or anything, which is kind of ridiculous. If that's a prank, it's kind of a shitty prank. Who are you pranking? Like,
yeah, like
exactly. Yeah. Another theory is that it was, in fact, a downed Soviet spy satellite and that they kind of came up with the story to cover up that they had it or whatever. You know how us Americans are. We got to keep our secrets. It's like, we've got the Soviets' information. Let's say it was aliens.
Right.
Which, again, as far as I could tell, like, no locals really saw anything. They weren't around because the area that it happened was in between two Royal Air Force bases. It's like woods separating 2 Air Force bases, both being occupied by the United States at the time. So
there was not like
it's
a lot
not
of
like
civilians wandering around.
I mean, like there's obviously some. There's the farm where the animals were freaking the shit out, but whatever. So like I'm like, okay, why would we make up a story at all? No one's calling or reporting anything. We don't need a story. We just can do our shit and no one's watching. Mm-hmm. So that seems weird. My favorite is that scientists decided, having seen, well, because I did this, because like they saw none of this. They weren't there. They saw none of it. So just hearing like the reports, they're like, oh, these Air Force people just happened to see like a fireball meteor come out of the sky and fall into the forest. And when they went back the next day and had all the weird stuff and saw the weird lights and the beaming down, they were just seeing some really bright stars. Because God forbid the Air Force knows the difference between a bright star and like, weird other light. And, obviously the police were right. The markings in the forest are just rabbits, just digging. That's what rabbits do. Because, again, the Air Force wouldn't know that.
No.
But this is an interesting thing. So at some point, U.S. Senator James Exxon was told about this incident by one of his constituents or just someone and he was intrigued, as we all are.
Yes.
And so he decided to launch an extensive but very secret inquiry into the incident. And interestingly, he never revealed his findings, not even to staff members. And all he would say is that he learned additional information that ties the Rendlesham Forest incident to other unexplained UFO incidents. So I'm like, what does he know? Because he wasn't like, oh, it was just some bright stars.
You're like, listen, sir, don't be stingy with your info.
I know. Like, let's have it. So I'm like, okay, so maybe something did happen. What do I know? As I said, Britain never really looked into it because they weren't aware that anything happened until like nearly 2 weeks later, which was when Lieutenant Commander, whatever his long title, Holt, wrote a memo detailing the events. And because he didn't write it until like 2 weeks later, like he finally compiled it, he actually misdated the events by a day, which I argue is probably just the whole like early morning concept of is that
right.
And so people were like, oh, well, that's how you know it's not real. He didn't even get the dates right. And I'm like, he wrote it 2 weeks later. Like, he had all the stuff. Like, he had his recordings. I guess he just didn't say, today is December the 28th at, I don't know. And so, interestingly, though no locals saw anything or came forward to say they saw any of this, saw any of the lights, they were questioned by people that they all kind of assumed are just like U.S. Air Force people coming to like chat with the locals, but it sounded a lot like the whole Men in Black thing. Like there's just they're like, they were in their dark suits and they came and asked us about stuff, and I'm like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So like the U.S. government was trying to find out stuff, even if the British weren't.
Interesting.
So it's still kind of uncertain what really happened there. But in 2005, using proceeds from lottery funds, so this is why you should always play the lottery so you can help fund cool projects like this, the Forestry Commission created a trail through Rendlesham Forest that is nicknamed the UFO Trail.
Nice.
And there is an art installation there that is a UFO kind of model based on sketches from the people who claim that they saw something that night. So they created an art piece to kind of look like the sketches that of the thing that the people saw. And I think that's cool. But it is still unknown whether it was a prank, a Soviet satellite, a fireball meteor and really bright stars and rabbits, or if the aliens did come down to, fuck with the U.S. Air Force, which they seem to like to do based on everything I've learned about UFOs and sightings, is that they are like, oh, is that the U.S. Air Force? Let's go fuck with them.
Right.
But that is the somewhat short but still fascinating story of the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Nice. Excellent, though.
Right?
It's funny that it happened to Americans in Britain.
Yes. I was like, wait a minute, what? I mean, there's all sorts of UFO sightings that happen in Britain.
Right.
But this one just stuck out because it's like a lot of people saw it. A lot of people on, yes, one specific base saw it, but like, it's... to me, to have a security team feel like they need to go check something out because they thought an aircraft went down, to me says that there's enough indication of weird shit that like we should go check it out. But then like they describe all these lights and like the Brits and the police were like, you're just seeing the lighthouse. And they're like, right, if I saw a single light, sure. But I'm seeing multicolored lights that are moving through the forest.
Like it's not just one light that's just fixed off in the distance. This is multiple, and it's not just a single color.
Yeah.
That to me is like the indicator, the fact that they're multicolored. Like it's like, that's like, no.
Well, and then there's, like, however you want to buy into the radiation thing, there was a distinct change in radiation levels. The fact that they went back and they had yet another experience that is not bright. I'm sorry. Air Force people know what a bright star is, okay? Like, they're not idiots. Their literal job is flying in the air, so they understand how planets and stars work. I'm like, okay. And how many stars beam down light every now and then, unless it's, Jesus coming, this great birth of saviorism or whatever. So, I don't know. It's a weird story that made me go,
sounds like it.
Spooky. And that's what happens in a forest, which is terrifying.
Well, thank you for that.
Yay! All right, Claire, what story have you brought us for UFO alien abductions?
I'm going to be talking about a UFO incident in West Palm Beach, Florida in 1952.
Really? That's so close to where my brother lives.
Is it?
Yes. Yes. I think, if I remember correctly, that West Palm is the closest airport to them.
Nice.
So.
Yes. So, August 19th, 1952, 10 p.m., Deputy Sheriff Mott Parton receives a call into dispatch, and it's a farmer who has 3 boys who have shown up at his house who are very frantic about their Scoutmaster who has wandered off into the woods in search of some strange lights. And it's this big story. And
I love it. I love
love it.
I'm sorry. I love that 3 boys go to someone's house and they're freaking out because their Scoutmaster was like, I see lights, I'm going to go chase them. And they're like, no.
So Deputy Parton and a guy named Constable Lewis Carroll, they drive out to this farmer's house, and the farmer and his wife have these 3 boys in their living room. 3 Boy Scouts, Bobby Ruffling, he's 12, David Rowan is 11, and Chuck Stevens is 10. And they were claiming that their Scoutmaster, who was local hardware clerk and ex-Marine named Sonny DeVergers, who was 30 years old, was driving them home from, I guess, a scout meeting, and he saw some bright lights flash over head as he's driving. And so he pulled over to the side of the road, thinking that it might, kind of like the Urals, been a downed plane. And I guess, being ex-Marine, like, decided to go, like, hey, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to check it out, see if somebody needs help, I guess.
I mean, cool. That's
kind. Yeah. Yeah. And so he gets out of the car and he grabs a flashlight and a machete. And I'm just like,
who keeps a machete in their car?
I know. I was like, really? A machete? That's what we're going with. But okay.
I mean, all right.
But he tells the boys, stay at the car. If I'm not back within 15 minutes, go call somebody. So the boys tell the two officers that just a few minutes later, they see some kind of red flare like lights shoot up in the air in the direction where he had, like, the divergers had headed. And so they got scared immediately and just, like, took off running and ran in the direction of this farmhouse and called for help because I mean, it hadn't been 15 minutes, but they saw these red lights flash and they were just like,
shit.
Yeah, some that we don't know what happened. We just left. So the two officers take the boys and they drive back to where Diverger's car was left. And they said it was like 3/4 of a mile from the house that they were at. And while they were there looking it over, still talking to the boys, Divergers emerges from the woods like a wild man, waving his machete around, shouting, I'm coming, here I am.
I'm coming, here I am with my machete.
And Deputy Parton said that he looked absolutely terrified. That he's like white-faced and he's shaking and he's talking nonsense. Like, it's just, he looks like he's like some man from the bush. Like, he's like, it's crazy.
Wow. So, like, something happened. Is what? Yes. Like, he's an ex-Marine. Yeah. He's not a pansy here. He's like,
something. Yeah,
he's
like,
freaking the shit out now. All right.
So
I'm sold.
Yeah. So Divergers and Parton and Carol go back into the woods. I guess they just leave the boys at the car again, and just as the three of them go back into the woods. And on the way back in, they find the flashlight that he had dropped. And they make it to this clearing, and it's an area with crushed grass that looks like something had been sitting on it. And didn't really find anything else. And so they go back to the car and they get the boys and the Scoutmaster back to the station. They start to interview everybody. And so Divergers tells them, he said, after about 4 minutes, because this is like near the Everglades, so I'm guessing that's why he had the machete too, like, you know. So 4 minutes into the woods, like hacking his way through woods in the bush, he came into a clearing and he said he smelled something that was acutely nauseating. And I'm just like, then why didn't you leave? Like, that would have been my first clue. Like, this is not normal. Leave. And he had the feeling that he was being watched. And then it said, and then he began to feel this oven-like heat coming from above. And that to me would have been like the second, like, GTFO, because it's August in Florida.
Yeah, no.
Like, no. I feel like if it feels more than an oven, then like August in Florida, then you need to get out. And it said that he looked up and he couldn't see the sky because he was standing underneath something that was hovering above him.
No.
Right. A hovering object. And he said it was dull black, about 30 feet in diameter, about 10 feet tall, had like this convex dome top, and the bottom had phosphorescent glow to it. And he's just standing there looking at it. And I'm like, run.
It's the deer in headlight thing. You're like,
I know. It's probably just like fight or flight or freeze.
You're just frozen.
Yeah, fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah, and you're just like, yeah. That would be me. Just go all goat. And like, that's what I like.
Just like petrified goat and fall over. Yeah,
that's me. Yeah, that's what Brandon and I, in scary movies and stuff, and he like grabs me or something. That's what I call it, is like I go all goat on him. I just like, I just like, yeah, fainting goats. That's what I do. Just fainting goat over here. He said he began to slowly back up because he's just like, oh shit. And he said he heard metal scraping metal, like a hatch was opening, and this red flare like light came from either side of this thing that he's standing underneath, kind of. And he said it slowly moved toward him. And as it came to him, it eventually turned into a red mist and started to engulf him. And he said he covered his face and he like balled his fist up and like covered his eyes because I think he,
Right.
And then he passed out. He became unconscious and
no.
Yeah, don't know. And then he said when he woke up, that's one thing I forgot to say. When he emerged from the woods, his arms were burned. He had burns on his arms. That's what, the arm hair was like completely singed and his arms were burned. Like they were red. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Not like 3rd-degree burns or anything, but like, his arms were burned.
But like, it's not a sunburn. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, because this is at night. Yeah. This is at night. So it wasn't a sunburn. Yeah. So he woke up and he was leaning against a tree, like sitting down, leaning against a tree, and he was struggling to see, and his eyes were burning, and he was saying that his arms were burning. And he got up and he was struggling to see to get back to where he was. But as he was moving, his eyesight started to normalize. So that wasn't like a long-term thing.
Well, that's good. That would be
loss
really
of sight. Yeah.
Awful.
But,
aliens took my sight. Ugh.
Yeah. And so he's gaining his sight back and he's making his way back through and freaking out. And then he stumbles back out into the road and there they are. So, and the officers noted that he did have the burns on his arms and he had burn holes in the cap he was wearing.
Shit.
Yeah. Like something had singed holes in the cap, like 3 holes in the cap he was wearing. And so I'm like, well, that matches up with what the kid said, like the red light flare like thing. So the 2 officers, they file the reports and it eventually makes its way to the Air Force, to Project Blue Book, which had just been started because it started in 1952. And it's the code name for the government study of UFOs, which was conducted by the Air Force from 1952 to 1969. And that was led by Captain Edward Ruppelt. I guess that's how you say his last name. Anyway, Ruppelt and his team got a hold of these reports and they were interested by them.
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
So they came to Florida to investigate because they were like, this sounds like it could be legit. It sounds, this is interesting. And so they came and they took statements and they took grass and soil samples from the site. And the Vergers came under some scrutiny because of his dishonorable discharge from the Marines.
I mean, that's fair. But again, he got burned.
Yeah.
Like he was with 3 children. And then he gets burned in the dark. What the hell?
I know. And he was discharged due to car theft.
Okay. And that has what to do with aliens?
I know, right?
Oh my God.
And also he came under scrutiny because I guess like amongst the locals, he was known for like telling tall tales. Like, I don't know if he was just one of those guys who just like made shit up all the time. I don't know. But I'm just like, still probably not like this. I mean, the man came out burned. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and again, the 3 boys saw the same lights.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know.
I mean, granted, they didn't smell the smell. They didn't see the thing that he saw.
Right, but they saw the initial thing that got him to pull over and go check it out.
Yes, they saw those lights, and then they saw the red flare thing that eventually, I guess, turned into the mist that knocked him out.
Right.
That burn. I don't know if that burned him or if something else burned him, but anyway, that burned him and made his eyes sting and affected his eyesight. Yeah. So, but Ruppelt said that he was extremely cooperative. Like he wasn't when they came, I mean, he answered all their questions. He wasn't belligerent with them. He showed them everything. There was nothing to suggest that he was lying. And that made the immediate impression that he was telling the truth to Ruppelt. But I guess with the investigation, with the stuff, the grass mashed down, how it is like with like the corn. They go out and get all the corn stuff and all that. It's always like, oh, it's fake, yada yada. But however, Ruppelt and his team eventually came to believe that it was a hoax. Yeah. But and they had come up, and there was nothing specific. Oh, I never did say my sources. I just realized that because I was like thinking, and I'm like, I never did say my sources. My sources were history.com, palmbeachpost.com, and NICAP.org, which stands for National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena.
Oh.
Anyway.
Cool. So,
but it never got into specifics, but it said that they had come up with a dozen different scenarios about how it could have been faked. Like you could go in and like pre-mash the grass down, make it look yada, all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is 1952, so I'm just like, I feel like you're limited also how you could have made it a hoax. I mean, I'm sure they probably thought, oh, he could have just shot up a flare gun, like if he had one, for the red, and the boys could have seen that kind of stuff. But there was one piece of evidence that really made it like, I don't know that he's really lying about this, guys. And that was the grass sample that they took. And after the soil and grass sample analysis, the soil was the same, but the grass sample, it was the root structure of the piece of grass they had, or the grass samples that they had. The root was charred black.
Oh.
And the lower leaves were deteriorated by heat. And the only way that the scientists were able to duplicate that in a lab was to have live clumps of grass in a pan of sandy soil and heat it to 300 plus degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, when he said oven, he really wasn't lying.
Yeah, I guess that's why he got burned. Damn.
Yeah, right. So the scientists who sampled the grass were like, I really don't feel like you can fake, because they came and took that on their own. Yeah. That wasn't something he gave them. So they're really like, I don't know how you could have faked that. Honestly, like that big of an area.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, did he accidentally stumble upon like the entrance to hell or something? Like, is hell underneath that grass?
Right.
Why is it so hot there?
And the fact that it was just that, and the soil
was fine.
The soil was not damaged. Yeah, that's what was so weird about it. And so because of that, this still is like remained unsolved. Right. It's not technically labeled a hoax. Even though Ruppelt himself personally believes it's a hoax.
Yeah, fuck that guy. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah. So this is technically labeled in Project Blue Book. Now that everything's declassified and out in the open, you can go find it. It's labeled unsolved. And as probably listed, and even Ruppelt was like, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, I guess because of like the burnings, and then like him talking about his eyes, and even talking to the children and the two police officers who like talked to them. I mean, everybody seemed credible. There was nobody who was like, yeah, this seems like they're trash, like this story is garbage, and this is the story of the West Palm Beach UFO sighting in 1952. The Sunny Divergers, where he got burned.
Well, now I'm over here being like, wait, is my brother gonna get abducted by aliens now? Like, is that what happens next?
He might. Or by some swamp creature. Who knows?
Or swamp creature. That's fair. Or some other Florida man story.
I know, right? But yeah,
Wow.
that to me, I was just like, just see him like coming out from the woods, like all
machete
crazy.
in hand.
Like, oh my god, it's some swamp person.
I mean, quite honestly, it's a miracle that the cops didn't like shoot him. You know, it sounded like he came out in pure crazed form. So
I mean, that's what. Yeah, it was like a wild man coming from the bush, like crazy, yelling nonsense, and yeah,
wow.
But and the fact that he was burned, and it's just I don't know, all of it. I can't even imagine the children either. Like they're like,
no, I mean like. They got the scare of a life, and then here's their Scoutmaster or whatever he is, freaking out when he comes out. You're like, yeah, these kids are scarred.
Ruppelt and the Vergers are past. I mean, because
right.
They were older, but the kids I think are still alive, and so they've talked about what they saw. They still like, yeah, we saw the lights.
Mm-hmm.
It's like.
Like, not a hoax. No. Don't know what happened, but not a hoax.
Right. And it is. And I think that's one of the things the scientists, too, with the grass, they were just like, why would somebody make something like this up? Like, this is not. Because I think that's what Ruppelt and his team were like, oh, he just made this up to sell it for a story for money or, that kind of thing. Or, to get some kind of notoriety. But I'm just like, I don't think so. There's other things in here at play that I'm just like, look, I feel like to me, like reading that whole part about the grass. Yeah. Like, to me, that's the big one that I'm like, yeah. This guy doesn't sound like he would, and
like
yeah.
How just I feel like that much time passed between when he went in and they came back for him to have done anything. Like, right. He took a machete with him. Like, what? How did he get the grass down? How would he have done that to the grass? How did he burn himself? Like,
right. I mean, we're talking maybe like an hour, maybe, or I mean, because you think he was gone 4 minutes before the kids like ran off.
Yeah.
Or something like that for, let's just say maybe 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
If even that. Before the light and the kids ran off. And they said it was like 3/4 of a mile. And I don't know how fast these kids ran.
They were running because they were freaked out. So
yeah, they were scared. And then because they said the call came in at like 10 and then they got back to the site at like 10:30. And then they said they weren't there very long before what's his face came running out, like all crazed. But I mean, the cop was like, I've never seen anybody that terrified.
Yeah.
Like he was freaked out.
And like, of course, people can like fake that, but probably not to the level that would convince police officers.
Right.
So. That was great, Claire. I loved that and I hated it, but I loved it. This is one of those episodes I'm glad we're recording in the daytime because the alien ones freak me out at night.
Right. Yes. Those are the paranormal ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man.
I'm just like, no, don't take me.
Right. Like, oh, don't come for me. Anyway,
right.
That's my story.
That was great. I'd never heard that one before.
I hadn't either. I was just like, what is this?
Especially considering how like detailed it is. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of things.
It is a lot of things.
Huh. Well.
Thank you, history.com.
I know, right? That's how I found mine too. Thank you, history.com.
Right.
All right. Well, Claire.
Yes.
What are you judging this week?
I'm judging cyber sleuths.
Okay.
I started watching. I've not watched the whole thing, but I started watching on Paramount Plus. It's called Cyber Sleuths.
Mm-hmm.
And this one particularly is talking about the people who got involved with the college kids who were murdered out in Idaho.
Oh, right.
and how all the TikTokers who got involved with it online. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, these people are not sleuths. Like, to me, like, these are the people who go online with their unhinged conspiracy theories, and they just show up at the crime scene and just start like spouting their, and they're going on like TikTok lives, and I feel like they're almost like hindering the investigation in some way and being detrimental to the case, because I mean, I feel like social media has, I mean, it's good and it's bad in its own ways. And for everything, including crime,
Yes.
And that's one of the things they were talking about, is how all these people were, giving, I mean, and they're saying, oh, we just got a tip. And it's like, you're not the police. What is this unhinged tip that you just got from Joe Schmo, wherever, and you're just going out into the world to go check this tip out. And it's like they're naming people who they think are the killer, and they're like doxing the roommates and who were there, and it's that kind of stuff. And I just want to compare them to like the cyber sleuth people in the documentary Don't Fuck with Cats. Because if you've not seen that, go watch that as well. It's on Netflix, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing, but it was just talking about the people who, and these people were different. These people were almost like borderline hackers. Not really, but these were like Facebook people, and who were constantly like looking at photos and trying to find a killer, and they did eventually help find the killer. But they were not like unleashing their unhinged theories really to the entire world.
They seem to be, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, they were like a small group who communicated within each other trying to track someone down, but they were giving that information to police. They weren't trying to be all vigilante justice on their own.
Like, if they found anything that seemed credible, they passed it along, but they had like their own circle, their own groups. This almost seems like these people are doing it for the likes and for the money and for the, the advertising dollars. I mean, it's just gross. It is gross. It's very gross. Like, I'm watching it, and just some of these people, I'm just like, I couldn't. Well, and I love, and I do, I love true crime as much as the next person, and I get sucked in. And I get caught up in stuff like the big national cases, like even as a kid, as a child, like I remember, like even back in the day, like, was it Adam Walsh, like way back in the day, and that being a big one. And then, JonBenet Ramsey, and even like recently Gabby Petito, and then now this Idaho college kids, and they're all terrible, but you get sucked in because it's like, especially with Gabby Petito, because she was missing.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where you wanted her to be found.
Yeah. And
you wanted her to be okay.
You were hopeful,
and then it was,
that she was going to be found alive. And
yes. And granted, it didn't end up that way, but that one was more of a, people were trying to find her, but this one with the Idaho college kids, it's just, I don't know, it just seems more gross to me, because I just feel it's just like they think they're out there doing it for the good of the case, but there's just, I don't know, it just seems like there's some like nefarious motives behind it to me for some of these people. And it's, they just get on, and you just see, because they're showing clips of some of these TikToks and some of these videos, these YouTube channels and stuff, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I can't with this. I can't. Like, I'm just watching this and I'm like, this is awful. These people have just come on with their like, and also to me, it's like, have you all never taken a civics class in your life?
No.
Like they're going on and on about like grand jury. I'm like, do you not know how grand jury works? Like
they probably don't, because
I mean, it's just
do we even teach that in school anymore? Because
I know. I'm like, just go watch an episode of Law and Order, please. Like, come on. Like I know that's not like the best, but at least it's better than
whatever
something
they've got. Yeah.
Or yeah, like go watch an episode of The Wire. Jesus Christ. You know, it's it's like, come on, guys. Like, y'all are killing me here. It's just like watching these people on TikTok, and it's just it's gross. It's so gross. Like I'm gonna finish this. I don't know how many episodes there are. It's not very long, but it is. It's just I just feel like these people are doing it for their own visibility, and I don't feel like they're letting the police do their job. And a lot of them are like, oh, but because this town is called Moscow, Idaho.
Oh, right.
And it's really small. But I mean, they called in the FBI because it was so heinous. I mean, the crimes were very heinous. And so they called in the FBI. So it's not like they were doing it all on their own. Because granted, I don't think the Moscow police probably could have handled something like this. But they're all just like, oh, the Moscow police can't do this, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, they got the FBI involved, guys. I mean, I feel like, you know, they're trying to do their due diligence, and it was hard for them to do their due diligence because of stuff like this TikTok stuff, because people were calling in like, and they have to check out every single tip. They were talking about how they, you know, all the tips that got called into the tip line, they have to check out every single one, because if they didn't, you know, and something turned out, then it was like, oh shit. But it was just the manpower and all that. But how all these cyber sleuths were like, with their crazy unhinged theories, you know, that they had to like put out a website and have like a list of things that were like, this is not, you know, like this is not a thing because of this shit, you know, like this stuff that was going, all these rumors floating around out in the cyber webs, you know, on all the interwebs and all that stuff. It's just crazy to me. And I'm just like, can we like pull that back about 50% or something? Because I just feel like to a certain extent, you need to let the cops do their job, the police and investigators, let them do their jobs. And yeah, I mean, there have been cases where like there have been people who have been behind the computers who have helped.
Right. I think it's more about how you approach it than it is. Yes. Because I mean, like, let's be real.
Absolutely.
We were not long ago talking about American Nightmare and how shitty those cops were. Because, like, they were like, that's not real. None of this really happened to you. This is all a hoax, and you're all gone girl in it. So, like, yeah, they can be wrong, and they can do shit wrong. I mean, we all know that. And, like, I get it as, like, a person who wants to, like, help in some way.
Right.
But you don't then, like, blast it on your socials in order to, like, get people to pay attention to you. Like, yes, I guess to me, that's what it is. It's about... You know, you can feel that way. You cannot call people out on socials because you're going to fucking get sued for that shit. It's called defamation. You're going to go down for that. So don't be doing shit like that. But, like, you know, if you feel like you have stumbled across something that's helpful, pass it along. Pass it to the police. Pass it to lawyers, you know, that are involved in some way. Like, whatever you need to do. But, like, don't, you know. Wait for Netflix to come to you to want to do a documentary about all the cool shit that you did. Don't try and put it out there. That's all I'm saying.
And I think that's the difference is these people are putting themselves out there, and the people in the documentary for Don't Fuck with Cats were very much like the like loner hackers in their basements that were like had their own little groups and were like talking through the chats to each other, and were like, oh my gosh, did you look at the background of this photo? I think I saw something here. Let's go check that out, you know? And so they're Googling this and Googling that, but they were like sharing info with each other and not putting their faces out there for the whole world and not getting money from it or likes or doing their lives where people are like, I guess to me it's like giving them stars and paying them money and that kind of stuff.
Could be confused for Nancy Grace on how you approach this shit, then you're doing it wrong because she's hot garbage. Right. And should be removed. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, if this case winds up getting, and that's one of the things like the people who are like And these people are not, and they're acting like they're reporters. They're not reporters. They're not. They'll call and they'll be like, yeah, I'm reporting on a case. And it's like, they're not journalists. So they're kind of misrepresenting themselves. They don't even have like one guy who was, it was like an inmate who supposedly, allegedly, was a cellmate to a guy who claimed to have helped the man who is on trial for these murders. Contacted one of the victims' fathers, and so the father contacted these two women who have been on TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff. And so one of these two women wanted to talk to him and interview him, this guy who had reached out to the father. And so they called the prison trying to get an interview, and the people there kept asking them, they're like, well, who are you with? And finally they kept beating around the bush, and they're like, well, my name is this and I represent, and it was like the YouTube channel was Bullhorn Betty. And they were like, is that a podcast? They were like, what is this? Because I mean, it's not like a news, like, and they're like, your media? Like, it's like they would never actually say who they were. Right. And finally, and they were like, oh, because we kept asking, you kept beating around the bush. And they were like, oh, well, then you need to go to the website and you need to email him through the website, and then maybe he'll contact you. Yeah. Like, it was just, I just feel like they're being shady about things, misrepresenting themselves, Yeah. They just show up at the crime scene, it's weird. They'll like shoot little videos around the house where it happened, like their little TikTok videos. And I'm just like, this is fucking weird, man. Like, stop. Ew. It's gross. Blech. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It sounds awful.
It does sound awful. And I know that's like the elder millennial in me being a bummer and like poo-pooing on the Gen Zers, but
to me, it's not about poo-pooing. Like, it's fine to have interest and intrigue and whatever. You just have to be careful on what you're doing, how you're approaching it, and that you're not like steamrolling over other people's rights, and that preferably, and I almost don't would feel differently. Lie.
I would feel differently too if any of these people were friends with any of these victims. Like, I would get it, like, you'd want some sort of justice, like that's what you're going for, but none of these people know these people. Like, I really do, I just really believe in my heart that they're really kind of doing this for the wrong reasons. They've got the wrong motivations.
Well, and I think
it's really what it feels like watching this documentary is what this documentary is pushing, is like these people have kind of got the wrong motivations for this. Like, they're and it's like they're interviewing some of these people who actually have real jobs, who, like they're the police or real journalists. And one of these older police guys who's like retired, he was like, you can get paid for doing that? He's like, just videoing yourself and sticking it on the web? Like, he was like, well, I guess good for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's fair.
It was just one of those, he was like, well, I got good for them, I guess, like, it's just but it's just, I don't know. That's my judge. It's just like, I feel like there's a right and a wrong way to go about doing things if you get interested in something like that. Like, don't, if you want to help out in that way and be a keyboard warrior, like, do it behind the scenes. Don't put your face out there just for the likes, just for the money.
And then after you're done, write the book, do the podcast, after it's at the end of it all.
Yeah. Because don't just go out there with your unhinged conspiracy theories and unfounded.
We don't need any more unhinged. I mean, guys, it's 2024.
Because that's really, because you listen to some of the stuff that they're like spouting, and you're like, God, this is completely unhinged and unfounded. Like, and they'll be like, allegedly. They just keep throwing that word. And I'm like, I get why they have to say allegedly, but it's like, yeah, you better be saying, I mean, it's just, all this stuff is just like completely baseless. Nothing is grounded in any kind of fact. They're just, it basically is almost like a game of telephone. Listen to these kids out on the TikToks. I'm going to sound like a boomer for a second, and I don't care.
You're such a boomer.
I am such a boomer.
Claire's
no,
a
but
boomer.
I'm serious. But it is. It's almost like listening to these kids playing a game of telephone. It's be like, I heard that so-and-so said that they heard so-and-so say. You know, it's just like, that's what it sounds like to me. Is really what some of this stuff says. It really looks like when I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh my God, this is cringy. How did this turn into something so cringy? I feel so bad for these families. That's why I'm watching it. I just really feel sad for the families, to be honest, that they have to deal with this level of cringiness when it comes to their deceased family members. Like, it's just awful. But anyway, that's my judge.
Well, there you go. That's a great judge. I'd heard of none of this, so.
Be careful if you're a cyber sleuth. Just yeah. Anyway, what's your judge?
My judge is more lighthearted. Yay.
Okay, cool.
So randomly in my work, I was looking at, no one cares. I was looking at support documents and how support things are set up at different places, and was randomly looking at Duolingo just because it's an ed tech company, sort of. And because of that, God forbid, you know how it is when you look at anything, suddenly you're bombarded by it.
Oh, yeah.
But
like you say the word and it just shows up everywhere.
Like, I said something and here it is.
Yes.
So I suddenly started seeing a lot of Duolingo stuff, even in like my socials. And so I'm like playing on the TikTok and I'm like, what's happening to Duolingo? Now, if you don't know what Duolingo is, it's a language learning app. Like you learn a language, with 10 minutes a day or whatever. And it's free. It's a free thing that you can do, and you can earn little flags or whatever. I don't remember.
Is it the one with the owl?
It is.
Okay.
Their mascot is a green owl.
Okay.
And so apparently a couple of years ago, they decided to like embrace the insane social media thing, and their social media is really unhinged.
Okay.
So the one that made me go, what the hell is happening, is like I saw a screenshot. It was Twitter. I know it's called something else now, but I refuse. It's Twitter. And I don't really know why, but like the British government posted that they had deleted the Duolingo app or something. Like I'm sure there's a backstory to it. I don't really care. None of that matters, because Duolingo's reply was, "You really should learn a second language, colonists." And so then I was like, the hell's happening? So like, it's been a good time.
So Duolingo shot first. Cool.
But like, so apparently Duolingo is just this crazy unhinged thing where it's like, someone was like, my New Year's resolution is to find out if he, referencing the green owl mascot, if he tastes like chicken or green apple.
Whoa, what?
To which, like, they apparently dropped down it's a fun screenshot, but it was like, Duolingo is like, you won't live to see tomorrow. And then they were like, some of us have normal resolutions, Alyssa. Oh no, go away. Okay. Let's see. There was apparently, there's been some missteps, of course. Apparently, Duolingo decided to weigh in on the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. I'm going to ignore all that because I think that's stupid on everybody's side. But like, it has cracked me up. Apparently, their TikToks are insane as well. Like, I saw one and it looked like the green owl had pooped all over, like a bunch of dump everywhere. And I'm like, what is happening? And then like,
oh my gosh,
it is the most bizarre thing I've come across. It's going to take me a second to find some more. I wish I had screenshotted all the ones that I looked at earlier. So Duolingo tweeted, "Remember to not miss any lessons today. It wouldn't be very nice if we had to lock up your family."
What?
To which the FBI replied,
Oh, God.
We're working on tracking you down. It is not okay to kidnap families because someone didn't complete a lesson. Like, what is happening in the social world? Like, am I just, like, missing everything? Because, like, guys, when did the FBI become funny?
Right.
Elon spent $44 billion on Twitter, faster than any of you do your daily lesson. And then they were like, also, does Elon have a thing for birds, and should I be scared? Also, once they posted, just a friendly reminder to lock your doors. And then ADT responded, this isn't funny anymore at Duolingo. This is deeply concerning, and it's scaring our customers. It's like, what is happening? What is Duolingo doing? It's bananas to me.
That is weird. That is very strange.
And then is like, you think blocking me and deleting this app is going to get rid of me?
Oh my gosh.
But one of the ones that I read was just like, someone was talking about how great Duolingo's social was and doing so great, and the reply was, oh, thank you, I'm just a single mother working 2 jobs. And I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
It's like, okay,
wow.
And just when you thought my terror couldn't multiply, get ready for Duolingo math.
Oh God. Who was running this account?
I read that it was like, not a college student, but like someone fresh out of whatever, that they decided to go completely like unhinged, and it's working.
That's funny.
So like another one, Thanos didn't practice his French today. Guess who's about to save the Earth?
Oh my gosh.
What the hell? And then they replied to, someone posted, I would love to eat the Duolingo bird battered and fried with some ranch. And the reply was, this is what I get for trying to make education accessible. Very unhinged. Repeat after me. Happy birthday to me. Do your lesson, it's free, or I will come find you and steal your family.
Oh my Lord. What is it with them and like taking families?
And then someone was like, Duolingo, please respond. I spent over $100 on your app. And they're like, literally, how? It's free. And then they posted something in Russian. And it says, if you had to translate to read this, lock your doors. I'm coming for you. It is completely unhinged. I have no idea what's happening in Duolingo, but I can promise you that I am here for it.
That's wild.
In 2020, I'm like, it's been going on for a while. I just had no idea. But in 2020, they said, to play our part in stopping the spread of COVID-19, we have killed 168,938,127 registered users. What the hell?
Wow.
So unhinged.
That's crazy.
But I love it. I'm here for it. I'm going to start following their TikToks because apparently they're very unhinged. I saw one where they like had a giant stuffed green owl, like a mascot, like huge, like people size, and they were throwing it over a balcony. And I'm like, I'm here for that. Let's see what happens next. I mean, whatever. So I'm here to judge the magic that is the unhinged social media of Duolingo, and not just them. The fact that like the FBI participates, the British government participates.
Like responding.
Like,
yeah.
What is happening? What world is this that like the FBI is funny?
Yeah.
And
like they're being cheeky back. Like, what?
I mean, all right, cool.
Fun.
So,
well, that is fun.
That's my judge.
That's a good judge. I like it.
Thank you. All right. That means it must be time for tarot time with April. Spooky. Oh no, my moon lamp is dead. It needs to be charged. There it goes. No, I'm kidding. There it goes. I just didn't want to turn on. All right. What shall we ask the cards today, Claire? Any thoughts? You know, it is today in real time and not recording time or launch time or whatever. In real time, today is Chinese New Year. It is officially the year of the dragon.
Yeah.
So maybe we should find out how the year of the dragon will treat us this year. What do you think, Claire?
There you go. Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
What are you?
I'm a pig.
A pig.
I'm a pig. What are you?
I'm a rat.
Oh, I think I knew that. I'm a pig, and I am stubborn like a pig, apparently, or whatever. Oh, do you know what? So, like, it also is an element. Like, there's like fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, I think. Do you know which one you are? I'm a water pig.
A water pig?
I'm a water pig. So, like, this year is the wood dragon.
The wood dragon.
All right. The year of the wood dragon. We have the upside down hanged man.
I'm a wood rat.
Ooh.
Apparently.
We have the... Maybe I just turn these upside down when I put them down, because these are all inverted.
Oh, there you
we have the inverted 8 of Swords. And we have the upright Page of Wands. So, cool. The year of the dragon for us. Gotta find the hanged man. The hanged man. The hanged man. There he is. Okay. The hanged man inverted. No pain, no gain. You have to put forth effort in order to make strides. You have to put some sort of clarity in order to see the best way to go. It comes up a lot when people are standing still and blaming all the action on other people. It's a reminder to take responsibility for yourself and your life. I mean, fair, fine, whatever. Gotta work hard in order to get shit, yada yada.
Gotta work hard to get
Nothing's ever just handed to us, is it, Claire?
No. Which one was that? What card was that?
The hanged man.
The hanged man. But not inverted?
Inverted.
Inverted.
And this is the 8 of Swords inverted. This is about release, a bird flying out of a cage. No matter how pretty that cage is, Claire, it's still a cage. The card comes up after someone has left a bad marriage, ended a toxic friendship, or found a better job. Cool. Releasing restrictions that we hold on ourselves. This card is, let's see. This card can show you how free your decisions can make you. Okay. Cool. Page of Wands. Page of Wands upright.
Yes.
This is the piss and vinegar kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's about opportunity and adventure and hope. The Page of Wands is confident and honest to a fault, passionate, and will bring you with him. It's a lot of charisma. So that's cool. He's young and impetuous, but that's not bad. Creating to create, smiling to smile. There's an innocence and fervor that makes this card very appealing. So, hard work, and release if we do it. Don't get trapped in the cage, but also innocence of... I have no idea. I can't read this. The Year of the Dragon is like, work hard in order to get stuff, okay? Stop it.
But then, like, what was the last card? Page of Wands
is about charisma and opportunity and adventure, but I guess you have to work in order to get it.
Yeah. So
yeah. The Year of the Dragon. Keep working in order to get things like opportunities and adventure. Yay.
So it's a capitalist year.
Every year's a capitalist year, Claire. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Capitalism has not yet died. We are still stuck. All right.
The wheel. We are stuck in the wheel.
The wheel of fate, in fact. Here we are.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
All right. What will be our topic for next week? What's our topic gonna be?
Get over.
It's gonna be...
What?
I don't know.
Weird religious
things.
Just weird religious things.
Weird religious things. That'll be fun. I have no idea. I don't know if I wrote this or not, or what I meant when I wrote it. So cool story.
Where is this from?
I don't know.
Who put this on here?
I'm sure it was me, and I'm sure I had a thought when I put it on there, but like, I don't know what it is. So cool. So join us next week as we talk about weird religious things.
Like rituals or just anything? Like
anything you want. You know how this game works.
Wow. Just things. Things. It's like in Wheel of Fortune when it's thing.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I hate that category. Thing.
Like this is maybe a fun time to talk about the difference between consubstantiation and transubstantiation. How for some people it's symbolic of eating the body and blood of Jesus, and for others it actually becomes the body and the blood of Jesus. Which is weird as fuck, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you do that. So many listeners we get that episode. Oh.
I'm 100% sure that I was thinking, like, as an alien comes down and you're trying to explain really any religion, but like Christianity or like the things that people do to them, and they're like, the fuck? What? You what now? Yeah, I'm sure that's where this came from in my mind, but I have no idea. So,
gotcha.
Who knows what it'll be? Any religion at all.
Anything.
I mean, good times. So, cool. All right. Well, join us next week as we talk about weird religious things.
Okay.
Until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe. And you can send us more topics for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye. And don't be a cyber sleuth.
Or get abducted by aliens.
Yes.